So how do we make a positive first impression? Well, you're going to want to dress professionally. Do not show up to an interview wearing what you would wear to school, right? You don't want to show up in a pair of jeans and a t-shirt, or a pair of gym shorts and a t-shirt, right? You want to show up in professional dress. Even if they tell you business casuals is acceptable, I would lean towards, I would err on the side of caution, I guess is what I'm trying to say. And I would just wear business professional. Okay. Wear that suit jacket and that tie. Okay. You're probably not going to dress that way every day when you work for a firm. A lot of firms are going towards a more casual dress code. Now, not jeans and t-shirts every day, but typically khakis and a button-up, or khakis and a polo, something like that. Typically, you're not going to be wearing suits every day. I know that I was told at the auditor's office, basically don't ever wear a suit unless we're going to an attorney's office or we're going to go to a CPA firm, because if you show up to a city council meeting where it's a town of 200 people in a suit and tie, everybody else is wearing their farm clothes, right? It's very intimidating. So typically you're not going to be dressed in business professional, but for the interview, and I cannot stress this enough, for the interview, it is important that you appear to be a professional. They expect that. And if you do not show up in professional dress, I hate to say it, but I would not expect a phone call back from them on that one. So also arrive early. I know my thing is I like to be 10 or 15 minutes early for these kinds of things, and just wait. Let them know you're there and just wait. Kind of pump yourself up, right? Review the questions, review any research that you've done on the firm, review questions that you think you're going to get asked, all that. It gives you also time to run to a restroom, check your appearance, make sure your tie's straight, make sure your hair looks fine. I don't have to worry about that because I'm bald, but I make sure I don't miss any spots when I was shaving, that I don't look like a complete and total schlub, right? You want to be able to demonstrate your self-confidence as well. So handshakes, I think, are still a very important part of business. I know that with COVID, those have kind of gone by the wayside, but I've always been impressed. Male, female, doesn't matter. Somebody that can give you a good, firm business handshake is to me has always shown somebody that is confident in themselves. Make good eye contact, smile. Try to be relaxed. I know it seems impossible to do, but you have to be relaxed, okay? So you want to be yourself, right? This is what I always tell students when they ask me for my advice. I've got an interview coming up. What do I do? How do I act? Just be yourself. That's what they want to see. They know that you've got the accounting skills, or at least to the point that they need you to have them right now. What they want to see is you. They want to see how you behave in a professional environment. So conduct yourself professionally, but try to be relaxed, right? I always try to go in with an air of relaxed confidence, right? Like you walk in and you're just like, I'm going to get this job, so I'm not stressed about it, but act confident in your ability to answer questions. Try not to go a whole lot or take 45 seconds silently thinking about answering a question. Just start going, right? So during the interview, obviously you want to conduct yourself in a professional manner. Okay, you want to be attentive, so this means no staring off at the wall. I would do this because here's what I have found, and I don't want to sound like an old man, get off my lawn kind of thing. Leave your phones in your car. Please, please, please leave your phones in your car, because they're such a part of our bodies now that it's just almost habit for us to grab it. And if you are grabbing your phone in the middle of an interview, it's going to look not great. Okay. So please, please, please leave your phones in your car. You don't need them for that hour. Okay. You will live for an hour without it. So that's what I mean when I say be attentive. Don't be distracted. Don't make them think that you're distracted by something. Just be attentive. You are there to try and get the job, right? Show them that. Show them that you care about that. You want to speak clearly. You want to speak slowly, not so slow that it's painful, right? Not like, what was that movie my son watches? Zootopia. They got this sloth or whatever that talks super slow at the DMV. You don't want to be that slow, but you want to speak slowly enough and you're enunciating things that they understand what you're saying without having to ask you to repeat yourself. You want to be very specific and very honest about your qualifications. This is extremely important. I've seen too many people lie on their resumes about things, get a job, and then 5 months in realize this person is not qualified for this job. This person has no idea what's going on. Okay. Only show your portfolio when it's appropriate. They'll ask you. You'll know when the time is right to do that. That's typically not going to be during a first interview or your one-on-one where they're getting to know you. You want to be objective about previous jobs. I know in one interview I was asked why I was no longer working for the company that I had been working for. I'd been there for a long time, and they asked me in the interview, why not? And I just had to be completely objective about it, regardless of my feelings and my opinions on why I no longer worked there. I had to be objective about it. And I just said they were right-sizing. My department happened to be decentralized, and it was easier for them to have everybody in one place. And my department didn't make the cut. You just be objective about it. Don't say, well, I think it was politics and, this and that. And I had a micromanager for a director. You don't want to be negative about it. Just say, hey, this is my understanding. This is what I was told by HR. This is why I left, or whatever the case is. Okay. When you get asked about your biggest weaknesses, and they will ask you this, be truthful about it. Okay. Answer it truthfully. Answer it positively. Try to put a positive spin on it. But don't say things like, oh, my biggest weakness is that I care too much or that I work too hard. Don't say things like that. They hear that a million times. Be honest. Say, when I get asked this question, the one thing that I typically say, because it shows them that there's room for improvement, but that I also recognize that there's room for improvement and it's something that I'm working on, right? So I'll tell them occasionally I will get stuck on a problem. And instead of just getting up and getting the answer to it, I will spend too much time trying to figure out the answer myself. Like I'll sit there and spin my wheels for longer than I need to, when I could have just had the question answered and the problem solved in a quarter of the time. So things like that. You just want to try and put a positive spin on it. Let them know that you recognize it and you're working on it. Again, relax, smile occasionally. You want to be happy to be there, right? You want to show them that you're happy to be there. And avoid any nervous habits. I know that I have some nervous habits. I like to put my hands in my pockets when I get nervous, so I have to consciously avoid doing that. The one nervous habit I can't avoid, and it's the worst. It's an embarrassing interview story, and if you're interested, I'll tell you guys about it. But they stuck me in the hottest room possible, and I was in a full suit, and it was just it went downhill pretty quickly from there. So ending the interview is going to let you know. The interviewer will let you know when the interview's over, right? They'll stand up and they'll say, hey, thank you for coming in, or whatever, or hey, can we show you, do you need help getting out of the building, or whatever the case is, right? So after you do your interview, I would just go to your car, write down any questions that you remembered, write down the answers to those questions, write down any additional questions you have. If you are doing the thank you note, send it that same day or the next day at the latest, right? You want to just follow up with them immediately. Now, this doesn't mean a handwritten note or a thank you card. While I still personally think those are the best, I know that a lot of firms are saying just email us because we get so much mail that it may be weeks before we see it, right? So always try to send them some kind of thank you and acknowledge them and acknowledge your gratitude and your enthusiasm for the job.